This will probably be my final video on the Australian election. I know I've covered quite a bit about what's taken place since Saturday, which was an actual bloodbath for the Liberal candidate, Peter Dutton. He lost big time, and unfortunately, as the Australian public voted against Peter Dutton because they didn't like the way that he looked, they didn't like his policies, and they seemingly voted for the likes of Albanese, which I made another video, which you can go check out if you haven't already, about how Anthony Albanese rigged the election in his favor and how he was able to pick up 90 something seats in the House of Reps purely based on preference votes alone, which is rather telling, honestly. And loads of people are beginning to wonder how in the world that actually happened. I explain it all in the last video that I made, so go and check that out. But I want to look at something else that's very interesting here, and that is how in the world was Labor able to swing and gain 3% of the vote, not just with the preferences and how Anthony Albanese rigged everything, and also the mainstream media playing a big role in that as well. But why is it that even though Labor and Albanese's government was the worst ever that we've ever had, especially when it came to the voice, wasting money, we're in a terrible problem at the moment, or a terrible place, I should say, when it comes to the economy, rate hikes, falling incomes, worse living standards, immigration through the roof. And Peter Dutton was going, you know what, we need to cut immigration because we're allowing so many people into this country. It's actually really insane. It seems as if the Australian public didn't want immigration to stop. They want more people to be flooded in. And it's also very interesting because Albanese has let in thousands of people into this country. And we wonder why the housing prices are going through the roof. The renting prices are going through the roof as well. It's because we don't have enough space to fit everyone. It's now a utopia for the immigrant, not for the Australian citizen that has been here for a very long time, not someone like myself that wants to get ahead and actually buy a house. No, that dream seems almost impossible thanks to the Labor government. And also, Liberals didn't do much of a better job. The only good thing I like about the Liberal government is the fact that they're there for small businesses. Like, we get a significant amount of tax breaks as a small business. Under Labor, though, we are hit the hardest. Small business in Australia is taxed through the wazoo. It is honestly insane the amount of tax we have to pay. It's nuts. And then also, it's more a utopia for the rich, not necessarily the working class nowadays, because Labor has gone so far away from the working class. It's kind of crazy, if I'm being honest. They've gone more to selling themselves out big time to China, that country, you know, that wants to take over. So I saw this guy, Kurt Malberg, talk about the bloodbath on Saturday, and yet they still gained a 3% swing. This is Labor, with all the things that I mentioned before. And he's saying that elections aren't necessarily won on policy. They're won by systems, which I think is really interesting, because considering Anthony Albanese was able to rig the election in his favor based purely on preferences and preferences alone. And also, I'm grateful that the Greens got annihilated. So Labor is running on solid ground. Liberals are sprinting on a conveyor belt that pulls them backwards, as it would seem. No matter how hard they run, they lose ground. But the problem that I found with Dutton, that I mentioned a number of times, and people have alluded to this in the comments, even though he seems like a man of integrity, the man of integrity doesn't suit being a prime minister. Number one. Number two is, if you are such a man of integrity, why is it that you won't talk about trans issues affecting women and women's spaces? Also, why is it that you won't talk about the abortion issue that's going on? Why is it that you won't really you flip-flop and you backtrack on other issues like migration, the flag, Australia Day, certain other issues as well, tax as well? There's so many things that he would flip-flop and didn't really have too much conviction on, which led lots of Australians to go, we can't trust you. Because one thing that Australians don't like is someone that doesn't know what they're talking about. They will let you know. If you do not know what you're talking about, believe you me, they will point it out clear as day. And if you're getting too far and you think that you know everything, but you really don't, guaranteed Australians are very, very good at bringing you back down. I said it in the last video. So you want to win? Do the Liberals have a chance at all in getting back into Canberra and leading the country? Who knows? Who knows? But they've got to do some serious soul searching. If they want to elect Susan Ley as the next candidate to try and take the Liberal Party into the next election, good luck, because I don't think it's going to work out very well in your favor, to be honest. But anyway, Kirk goes, want to win, tear down the one-party state machine. Here's how. Defund the ABC and SBS, because at the moment they're government funded. We're wasting $1.5 billion a year, taxpayers are, on this state-funded like rubbish. And it's also leaning towards Labor. How about that? It's not really fair, is it? Got a bias towards Labor and leftist propaganda. Move them to a subscription model if you have to, or scrap them altogether. Let the activists pay for their own indoctrination. I actually really like that idea. I really like it. Also, another policy that I really liked about Peter Dutton, but was poorly executed. And also he should have mentioned this because we're spending billions of dollars on a deal with the UK and America at the moment that America doesn't really seem too much interested in at the moment, which is the AUKUS nuclear submarine deal. Why are we spending billions of dollars on submarines when we could be spending that money on nuclear power for Australia and Australian citizens? Australia has never been a major military power, although we're able to hold our own when it came to wars and helping out other countries. It's hence why we've got allies as well. That is very significant, right? Building relationships with other democracies like the US, New Zealand, Japan now, and India. Like it's quite interesting how nowadays we're going, oh, we need to build up a military with nuclear submarines that taxpayers are having to afford. Australians and people are going, yeah, let's go with that. We're not really going to criticize that, but yet we'll definitely criticize nuclear power plants. Mate, seriously, the nuclear power plants would be significantly better for Australians, but yet you don't have many Australians criticizing the nuclear submarine deal. Interesting that, isn't it? So we've got to downsize the bureaucracy. And this is one of the things that Peter Dutton was criticized about having Trumpian policies, even though Trump doesn't even know who the hell Peter Dutton is. So that's interesting. Peter Dutton, I think, obviously knows who Trump is and knows his policies, but I think having the bureaucracy downplayed and cut the amount of government people that you've got is very, very important because they're wasting money on people that are just corrupt. If you want to get into making money, go into politics nowadays because you will make bank on it, guaranteed. 1 in 3 voters works for or depends on the government. NDIS, by the way, is, wow, they're like another multi-billion-dollar industry. Renewables, admin bloat, it all creates a voting bloc for socialism. Slash the workforce. Let fake industries stand on their own. Again, another thing I agree. Depoliticize government departments. Billions go to diversity, climate, gender theory, and race guilt, meaning that we're on stolen land. Millions of dollars every year somehow gets lost or goes towards this welcome to country nonsense that you've got to have every bloody time you open a business. Like, it's just stupid. This is Labor's shadow army. Doesn't change with elections. End mass immigration. Albanese imported 1 million people. 600,000 will vote by 2028. 70% will vote left. Gee, I wonder why that is. Because leftists let them in. Low. Immigration is reshaping the electorate. Limit it to skilled workers, real refugees, tourists, and families that actually care about Australian values and want to assimilate. Don't go opening up the country to people from Gaza, for goodness sake, or Muslims from other countries. No, don't do that. Abolish the censorship regime. Get rid of the e-safety commissioner. We don't need her or even her office, because a lot of them are just, it's like a nanny state, right? They're wanting to police and nanny everything that goes on the internet. And if they disagree with it, can't have that. Keeping in mind that we're all adults here, we can all monitor our own usage, not have someone else, one woman in her office deciding what everyone else is allowed to see. That's nuts. It's also very far leftist bent, I'll have you know. Bonus targets, scrap the national curriculum, shutter Creative Australia, 200 million for far left art, which is nuts if you ask me. We've got a lot of waste in Australia, just pointing that out. A lot of waste. On what? Leftist propaganda, if you ask me. But what if the public isn't ready? Make them ready. Frame it as fairness, a fair go for forgotten Australians, which every Australian, I think, can understand. A fair go. Link it to pain points, housing, inflation, censorship, collapsing morale, which is something that Peter Dutton didn't do very well of. I didn't get that from him at all. But Dutton tried the Trump approach and failed. No, he didn't. He taped the wall with a tack hammer. Trump used a wrecking ball and won. The leftists will accuse us all of starting this culture war, which we haven't. But anyway, the left started it because they chose to castrate kids, ban common sense, installed drag queens in libraries, called Aussies colonizers. We're not starting a war. We're trying to end the damn thing and bring back common sense. But isn't this just modern life? No, wokeness is a religion, not reality. It came from Marxist ideology, not Aussie values. Can't believe that Australia has changed so much, and many dingbat Australians, 1.7 million of them, decided to vote for the Greens, which is, again, a Marxist party. It's time that we as Australians fight back. Australia's collapse isn't just political, it's spiritual. Alexander Solzhenitsyn put it this way: we haven't forgotten God. That's why we have forgotten God. That's why all this has happened. He couldn't be more right, if you ask me. So we need to start waking up and realizing that we can't have stupid parties like the Muslim Australia's Voice Party or even the Victorian Socialists, which are trying to make a national socialist run, saying that if you see an abandoned house, you can go in there and take it for yourself. Because why else wouldn't you? It's an abandoned house. It's your fair game, according to the Victorian Socialist Party, which lost out big, but nevertheless, they're going to try and get bigger. This is how the Greens started, with ridiculous, somewhat feel-good messages, and then they grew. And you have a following of people that are radicalized and just in the form of no common sense whatsoever. And it's up to us that actually have common sense. And yes, Australians are very good at this, but we also need other countries to point it out as well and say, this is nuts, man. The more people that talk about this, the better it will be. Guaranteed. We've got to keep our leaders accountable, because that's what you do in a democracy, is it not? Are we in a democracy? At least I hope so. I hope it stays that way for quite some time. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.